my commander looks up and says, "It's not right. Stay low and hope you don't get hit, but it's gonna happen." I'm Charlie Potter and I'm an American warrior, and this is my story. I went to school, grew up out in Big Lake. I went to Houston High School, wrestled all through high school. Ended up meeting up with a good buddy, James Hastings.
I'm James Hastings and I'm an American warrior.
And he took and tried to call me into joining the military, and I was like, I don't know.
No, I did not chase him around. Didn't have to. It was either going to be come with me and put on a camouflage uniform or wind up in Goose Creek Penitentiary in an orange suit.
School was not my absolute favorite, so I was like, sweet. He told me to take an ASVAB and get out of school for a day, and it doesn't count against you. So I decided to go take the ASVAB, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to do good enough to even pass it.
I didn't think Charlie was going to do very good on that ASVAB test either, because I'd seen his grades and I'd talked to his teachers, and I knew he was a heck of a wrestler, but not much of a mathematician.
But I did good enough. They asked me what I wanted to do for the Army,
and we talked about it, and I said, you do what you want to do. You make the choice, you decide.
I want to do something that I've done prior that I'm not going to look like an idiot doing.
So we decided to become a combat engineer, and he did go to the Bravo 411th Combat Engineer.
And ended up spending 7 years on active duty involuntarily.
He was placed in a unit where I think that team bond was not so much there.
I got attached to a unit out of American Samoa for AT annual training, and they took and gave us some papers at the end of a 30-day training and said, here's your papers to go home for 10 days and come back. You're going to go to Iraq. Got into country on December 20th of 2004, and that's when it got serious. I didn't realize how scared somebody could be until you're handed some bullets and told, hey, you're going to protect us. We're going to drive down these streets in a glass-sided bus.
It was fun to see him to be so excited and see back home, and to see who had left as a young kid full of energy and excitement and uncontrolled potential come back as a young soldier and be so adult. And even though he was playing and wild and rowdy, you could see that in him. You could see that spark of being a warrior in him. Next thing you know, Charlie's not much of a communicator, honestly. So we didn't talk again until I found out that he had wound up getting himself blown up.
Well, at that time, we had seen the streets were clear. We'd all had our armor off. It was 125, 130 degrees that day. Could drink a 32-ounce Gatorade and not have to go to the bathroom every 15, 20 minutes. And the streets just cleared. And that's always been a thing that in the back of your mind, if the streets got kids and everybody else running all over the place, you're in a pretty safe area. They're not going to take in, kids aren't their priority to blow off the streets. And I mean, you take soccer balls, stuff like that. We did that all the time and give them to the kids. Well, noticing this more and more as we're going along, and my commander looks up and says, it's not right. Stay low and hope you don't get hit, but it's going to happen. So I hunker down as low as I can, and this is before you have all these fancy guards around you as a gunner. You're up on top of a vehicle, basically just sitting on a ratchet strap. That's all you have. No shield in front of you. The only shield you have is your weapon that's in front of you. We made it maybe a block and a half. My world just got rocked. I didn't know what was going on. I see somebody. I thought I broke my arm. I took and look up on a roof, and at that point fired my weapon a couple times towards the roof. Well, I had an RPG that they had shot down trying to hopefully take out the whole vehicle, had smoked past me and went through my arm and kept going and missed the vehicle altogether. Some kids came out from behind a fence, threw a bunch of grenades up at us, trying to lob them into the gunner's hatch, because you get one grenade in there, it's gonna kill everybody that's in there. I said, Sergeant Thompson, I broke my arm. He's like, yeah, you broke your arm all right. And I said, it's broken. I need to get down in here. And he said, just get down in here. So I get down in there. I just grab the hatch and pull it over the top of me. doctor told me, good chance you'll never move your hand again. You're gonna have to wear a brace. You can take, and I could curl my hand a little bit, but my wrist hung totally down. I couldn't pick it up. I couldn't twitch it. It was heartbreaking to me. I didn't know what to do. It's more devastating than anything. Bone was gone. There is no bone in it. And I got a titanium rod that goes from literally here to here now. And they wrapped this stuff they call silver around it and said, this will make a bone around that metal rod. I mean, everything my whole life has been hands-on. I grew up in the outdoors and whatnot, so I'm avid, just fix my arm. I said, I'll take anything you got. I'll try anything once. Like, let's do what we can. I want this to work. The doctor has me come in one day on an unscheduled appointment and says, hey, I want to try something. And he makes up this thing over my wrist with some casting material, some fishing line and some leather straps and some metal wire. And he says, we're gonna take and run little slings to every one of your hands. It's gonna hold your fingers up. I need you to work on making a fist all the time. And I did this for a couple months, get it to twitch a little bit. And I said, this is gonna work. My arm's gonna work again. I'm gonna make it happen. I sat there and I moved it and I moved it and I moved it and got it to where I could get it at an angle that I knew it was going all the way back. It's not 100%, but in my eyes, it's 100% from where I was at.
I think he stands as an example of so much of America, so much of our nation, so much of our state. He joined after 9/11. That was a choice he made. That wasn't, he didn't get talked into that. That wasn't, hey, I'll give you a lot of college money, or hey, I'll do this if you'll join. He literally, knowingly, willingly, and consciously chose to go into a profession that had about a 90% rate of gonna get shot at. And not so much just the profession, but the specific field within this.
They did 3 plastic surgeries on my face, and I've had over a total of 17 reconstructive surgeries to get my arm to where it's at today. I still love the military, but I got hurt. It happens. I could be driving down the road and get hurt. Despite the negativity and the challenges and the injury and the tough things that he's dealt with, I don't think it made him who he is. I think it refined who he was destined to be. I'm pretty proud of that, really proud of that. So anyway, we had a couple beers and Charlie says, hey, I want to race the Iron Dog. And I said, sweet, I'll help you. And he said, no, you're doing it with me. I said, James, I want to prove to myself and everybody else that no matter how far I get knocked down, I can still do what I love. And my passion is snow machining. And it had been a far off dream when I was a kid, but I knew I was never going to do it. I'd go to the start, go to the finish, but there's no real reason for me to go spend that money to run that race. But by George, we did it. We put in, I'd say 3,500 or more training miles every day, every night. He had me out pushing me and shoving me and doing exactly what I had done to him, almost 5 years, 6 years previously, where I had pushed him to get in shape, get your mind right, go to school, go to class, graduate, take the test, pass the test. Your ass is going. You joined, you're leaving. You're not getting out of this. And he did the same things to me. Hey, you said you're racing. You're racing. Get on the sled, let's go. I didn't want to go. There were days I wanted to quit. There's days I was trying to find somebody to take my job, and he said, no, you promised, we're going. So we did. Well, the Wounded Warrior Project wasn't in Alaska at this time. And so we're just gonna start the Alaska branch of the Wounded Warrior Project, and we wanna raise a bunch of money to help these people out and get some Alaskans out and do fun things. It's a great thing for rehabilitation. Like, he had seen, I believe, how far I had came with it, and there's tons of us up here. That's the Alaska way, is to be outdoors and do things. Well, we do tons of fundraising, get all this stuff going through, and we'd probably tried out 20 different types of gear along the way, and we end up, just before the race, we were doing the last minute sponsor stuff, running around. I had ran into a local bar and restaurant to get a sponsorship check and had the race sleds. We just came back from a practice run. We're getting our last ones in. They're set up, ready to go, and we're ready to go to the expo in a week. And I come back out and the trailer's gone with my Iron Dog snow machine on it. And I go back in and I thought my buddies were messing with me. And I said, who's messing with me? Well, it was nobody messing with me. It was somebody that stole our sled just before the race. And at this point, we're at devastation. Well, I wasn't going to give up at this point. James wasn't about to give up on me. He took every credit card at this point that he had and consolidated it, and his wife and him went down and bought a brand new snow machine to match the one that I just had bought. We had the radio stations, the news stations, Iron Dog themselves. They all called the Skidoo shop at this point and said, whatever they need to get back in this race, we want to take and put them in this race. Like, I mean, I'd go down to the Skidoo shop and at one point they said, hey, Channel 2 is taking and paying for these parts. You go down the next time and they said, so-and-so is paying for these parts, just get these sleds together. That year, the race just didn't really work out for us. We made it about 100 miles into the race and burnt down a snow machine.
And I remember sitting in front of the Channel 2 cameras at the Palmer Elks Lodge on Finger Lake, looking right at it and said, no matter what, there ain't no quitting Team Wounded Warrior. And I'll be damned if we didn't wind up having to quit 100 miles into the race. But it wasn't quit because we couldn't do it. When you blow an engine, you're blowing an engine. I think in our case that first year, it wasn't about the destination. It was about the journey. It was about, we can do this.
It's really been a history and goal of mine from that point on to I'm gonna keep doing this, because the amount of support and people that had positive attitudes towards us the first time just made it to where I have to keep doing it.
We were able to bring a lot of awareness in that first year, a lot of exposure to a lot of people that I think even at that point in time, 2008, 2009, people still didn't realize the impact of 7-8 years of sustained continuous combat was having, not just on the warrior, but on the family of the warrior, on the mothers, the fathers, the sons and daughters, the spouses, all the team. There's no such thing as just a warrior. And one of the things that I've always subscribed to, and I keep coming back to this word warrior. I'm not talking about the combatant, the snake-eating Rambo badass. I'm talking about the protector, those who serve. A warrior's power, it doesn't lie in their strength or their size or their feats in battle. It lies in the people that they serve. That is the power of the warrior. And then the warrior's job is to protect and to serve and to make the world a better place. And that's where we strive to be.
Every single one of these veterans has had to work as a team before and have been kicked out of their team. So to get them back as part of a team and let them feel that feeling that, hey, these people are accepting me, I'm part of the team, and I'm helping them get along, I think it'll go a long ways.
Helping people cope with what's happened in their life is the whole purpose behind this. Life's tough, but we're going to get up and we're going to push on. And this needs to happen. This needs to happen. Our state does a good job. I think our nation does a good job. I think individually, as Americans, we do a good job of saying thank you. Thank you's cool, but thank you doesn't keep your head right in the middle of the night when you can't think. Knowing that you're not alone helps you keep your head right. Knowing that there's somebody you can call. Knowing that, hey, I got to get through this because the next week I'm heading out and we're going to go fishing. Or next week I'm going to take someone fishing. I'm going to do something to save a life. You can't save somebody else if you can't save your own. You can't be well if you don't help other people make well. It's such a circle of life. So to see where Charlie is, to see where he's going to go, is pretty exciting. And it's important on behalf of our nation's warriors and our state warriors. I want everybody to support the program of what's going on here. It's not about the money, it's about the lives. But you can't save lives in this day and age without making an investment into it. And there is no greater return on investment, whether it's your time, your money, your emotions, than knowing that you may have played a small part in saving someone's life.
And hopefully by next year we'll take and have 2 different teams on the trail, 1 pro class, and hopefully I get to be a part of it and we can make it happen. So That's my story.